grateful that you took the time out to join me. But to start with, I would really love just to hear a bit more about your story. Like, what have you been up to? As much as you want to reveal, or as little as you want to reveal, whatever you're comfortable.
I was raised in New York, actually, as I told you already. When I was raised, my parents never really gave me much praise. They just expected me to do well. I guess you could say, most children today, especially, are used to receiving praise as they do well in whatever they do well. And I didn't receive that. So I never developed confidence until actually I went out into the world after school, and actually got a job and started associating with other people other than my family. And so I was always very, very shy. And I actually was one of those little girls who would hide behind my mom, when we would go out. And so I was always very hesitant to get to know people. And then it took a lot of different things that happened in my life to actually see who I really was. I didn't really know who the person, who I was as a person until later on when I started to be out there. And so as far as confidence, developing confidence, it took a while. It took a while. And now I am a life coach for professional women. And I help professional women. I help them with situations where they have lost their self-confidence. They're feeling doubtful about their place in the world or their purpose.
Awesome. And I know you sprinkled it throughout, sort of, you mentioned grown up not very confident and grown your confidence once you sort of entered the world, like, really ventured into the world, and a few setbacks. But before we go sort of into what's helped you out and all of those sorts of things, if you had to define confidence, what would that look like? And how would you describe what it actually means to you? What difference it makes to you?
Confidence to me is feeling the ability to show your true self and to manage all your interactions with people with a strong purpose and feeling good about yourself, basically. Yeah.
And how would you define the difference between how you may have felt when you were growing up, or I don't know how, painful sort of other life events are, but thinking back to when you were growing up, how did that feel? And sort of what is that material difference to having grown your confidence now?
When I was young, I didn't realize that I could feel confident because being raised the way I was with just having expectations upon me, that I didn't realize that you could actually be praised for your confidence, or you could receive, I guess, be rewarded for your confidence. And so it was very much like night and day when I became an adult, to realize that you are able to show who you are, and actually be recognized for it. What it was like night and day, the difference between being a child and adult.
And are there particular things that you feel, based on how you've been raised, that you had to actively unlearn?
I had to unlearn that it was okay to have an opinion. It was okay to write about my feelings or talk about my feelings. It was okay to show a different person, show all aspects of my personality, as opposed to just showing the little Juli.
Can you walk me through what are the sort of things that helped you build your confidence after leaving school, leaving home, and then throughout these episodes throughout your life?
Even though I have always been very shy, I've always had this strong, I guess, resilience and even though I didn't show it or maybe didn't even know that I had it, but I've always been a survivor. I always fight through the tough times. And so the personality that I have, I'm a strong person and I'm a survivor. I'm never going to give up.
Yeah.
So that is what has helped me.
Did you ever have a coach yourself before you've become a coach?
When I went to coaching school, we have to, as part of our training, we have to do peer coaching. So I've had a lot of coaching that way. Yeah.
And what difference has that made to you?
I think every coach has to have their own coach.
Yeah.
You have to always be learning. You have to always be open. So I think you couldn't really truly be a good coach if you didn't have your own coach.
When you had those setbacks or these life events, how long did it take you to build back that confidence? And what was sort of that defining moment? You mentioned you're a strong person, you're a survivor. Were there other things that really sort of made a difference, of whether it's a particular routine, a mindset shift, or some realization that's really helped you, feel that confidence again?
I've been through a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually the very beginning of when I started to really feel confident. And I think if I hadn't had that, I probably would have still been that shy little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were some of those light bulb moments, if you don't mind sharing, that you had?
Being told that I'm a survivor, actually, that was a light bulb moment.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that that was part of my personality. That almost gave me an extreme amount of confidence to move forward in my life, because it made me realize that I was not going to give up. Other situations, what other situations? Oh, I guess you could say the first time I actually had my first business. And after I left corporate America and started doing my own thing, it was enlightening, extremely enlightening, because I knew that I did it. I broke out of the box. I got out on my own and I'm doing my own thing. That was like an extremely big aha moment.
Yeah. The last question, and it's really, so we as a company, I mean, obviously confidence is something, as with your own example, my example, many other people, that affects you throughout your life, but particularly the generation of young adults, actually probably, your children,
Yes.
and sort of that generation of Gen Z,
Mhm.
individuals who've grown up in quite a different way than maybe we have.
Yes.
They tend to be, research tends to, repeatedly show they're the least confident, the least happy generation. And not just because, you are less confident perhaps when you're younger, but also in comparison to previous generations, at that age. And so
Mhm.
what would you recommend, to particularly to that generation, but also anyone who's struggling with their confidence right now? What would you recommend them? How do they get started? What would you recommend how they go about building their confidence? Anything that comes to mind?
Coaching. They
Coaching.
need to have a life coach. Everybody needs to have a life coach,
Yeah.
because it's extremely important to get that confidence, to build your confidence, because the sooner you build your confidence, the stronger you will feel out there in the world. And I think it's extremely important. It really is.
Well, look, thank you so much. I know we're to time, and I don't, in case you have places to go, just want to be very respectful, appreciative of your time. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much too. I appreciate this, and and it was nice to meet you and get to
You
know you a
too.
little bit.